lot of talk about Kinski. You know, people kind of writing him off already, and I don't really think that's fair. He did come into quite a high pressure situation, in my opinion, not having a solid back four, being thrown in. You know, he'd only played, I think, 20 times or something in the Czech league, and then coming into Spurs straight away, and that your first game's at Anfield, you've got the North London derby. It's a lot. I'm not saying he's not been at fault for stuff, but I think people are very quick to kind of jump on him. But it was really good to have Vicario back. You can see the difference in terms of a shot stopper and like that ability, can't you? And just having that type of leadership at the back. You know, he's still shouting at people on the 90th minute on the halfway line, telling them to get forward. So I think that creates a different type of environment for the defenders in front of him. And, you know, the last two Premier League games, Brentford and this one, we've kept clean sheets. Yeah,
I mean, first and foremost, I think Kinski done a good job coming into it. Like you said, a high pressurised team that are low on confidence, going to concede chances. And I thought he dealt with it reasonably well. He was never going to be Spurs' number one, in my opinion, was always waiting for Vicario to come back. I questioned Vicario to a certain degree. I think teams kind of played on his lack of ability on crosses or corners. I think they tried to play on that. But I think, for me, he's cemented his place as number one. With that performance, he's going to get criticised again in the coming months. Of course he is. If you're a goalkeeper, you make a mistake. Unfortunately, it's going to be a goal more often than not. So, but some of the saves, the initial one, Højlund, and then the Garnacho, and he tipped it over the bar with his left arm. He was brilliant. And he seems to have been working on his feet as well, in my opinion.
Playing out.
I thought he was really good at playing out from the back as well. And as we've spoken about, something that Spurs are missing is leadership, but he was a real leader and one of the main reasons that we kept a clean sheet.
Yeah, I think so too. I would like to combine both of them if I could, because I do think that actually Kinski, at corners, at set pieces in the air, he's actually a lot stronger than Vicario. I do find Vicario a little bit flappy, but you can't take the shot-stopping ability away from him and how agile he is and how many great saves he does pull off. And it is just good to have him back, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to THFC after the game in the mix zone, and he was gushing about Vicario. He said, like, I'm a massive, massive fan of him. He's a leader. He brings a real energy to the team. And I think you see that. Like, I'm surprised you're saying that people kind of criticising Kinski, because I think he's been exactly what you want him to be.
There's been a lot.
He's like a really promising 21-year-old
lot.
goalkeeper. He made the mistake at Villa, I know, but then he actually kept it respectable after that with a load of saves. So I think he's been a really smart signing and he's done a job in January. But yeah, I think Vicario is not just a great shot stopper who makes kind of at least one save he has no right to most games. Yeah. But he's clearly like growing into that leadership role that we just talked about. And yeah, again, if there was sort of one player in the squad who I was kind of bet my mortgage on having a solid game, it's probably him at the moment because he's got that baseline of performance that he delivers. And I think you can sort of see the respect that the rest of the squad has for him, which is really telling.
What this is only a positive for Kinski as well.
Yeah.
Having someone like Vicario, I've been involved, and keepers' unions are unique in the football club, and it's the only position really that if you're not playing, you still back the player that plays, and to see that at a club that I've been at, it like I said, it's unique. So they'll be certainly supporting one another. Fraser Forster as well. I know he's been out of the team injured as well, but it can only benefit Kinski to learn off someone like Vicario. So when he is called upon once again, it can only improve on what he's been, which I think has been a real good keeper, good bit of cover.
Yeah, I feel like what about Brandon Austin though? Because the performances that we actually have seen of him, I actually thought he played all right. But by bringing in someone like Kinski, I mean, he's effectively now going to be fourth choice, isn't he, even behind Fraser Forster, and I guess until the summer, until something happens.
I mean, sometimes you have that, and again, going back to my playing days, there's always goalkeepers that's been there so long, hardly ever plays, and always great backup if you need. And it seems like Austin is that
he's going to be fourth choice.
Exactly, yeah. It seems like maybe it is time that he does look elsewhere and think, right, if I want to cement down a number one spot somewhere, or even a number two spot somewhere, I need to look elsewhere. But like you said, the performances when he does play, never lets himself down, never lets the team down. But sometimes players just go through their career being that third or fourth choice goalkeeper, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame because I felt like maybe the chances he did have against Newcastle and I think Elfsborg. Like he actually played quite well. Well, look, Spurs have leapfrogged United. They're up to 12th. We're finally out of the 20s. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We are into the 30 points. I think we're going to stay up, which is good. And Ange has never lost to United. He's the first Spurs manager to do the league double over them. First to beat them 3 times in a season. When we put the Carabao Cup into that as well. Like we said, we can't really be too happy about that because obviously the state of Manchester United. But it was a really, really big win for us. And obviously there's a lot of talk about injuries now, isn't there? Because we're kind of now hopefully coming to the end of our injury crisis. United are going into theirs. And it just seems like there's been a lot of sympathy all of a sudden for Manchester United. Where's our sympathy been? Where's the Violins been? Where's the sympathy cards? Where's that been over the last 2.5, 3 months for Spurs?
Well, that's what Ange said after the game, isn't it? He hasn't had any sympathy from other managers. I do think that there has been a kind of slightly odd tendency to like overlook the problems Spurs have had over the last couple of months, and obviously Postecoglou's felt that as well. Like they haven't been in a dire situation with 10, 11 fit players most weeks and 3 games every week, and I think we're kind of seeing now with Arsenal and Man U that their injury problems are getting a lot of airtime. So I can sort of understand the frustration Postecoglou's had about that. And there was quite a good line he used after the press conference where he sort of said injuries are coming for other teams. So he clearly feels that like this is not a problem that's unique to Spurs. He would obviously say it's not down to his football, which I think is a kind of question that's been raised. But it's the schedule and it's kind of the modern game now, and other clubs are going to have to deal with this. I
think other support, and no matter who you are, will be the same with Arsenal, will be the same with Manchester United. You think, stop the excuses. Look, it's been unacceptable, the league campaign up to now, but it's not an excuse. It's one of the reasons that this is happening is the injury crisis that Spurs have had for a long time. It's been a consistent amount of time. It's not 1 off 2 or 3 weeks. It's been 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And
we're nearing on 3 months.
Yeah, we're still missing 6 players. Van der Ven, Romero, Dragazin, Werner, Richarlison, Solanke, who hopefully is the next one back, fingers crossed. So he's still missing 6 players that are first-team players. I mean, I don't know where Romero's gone, by the way. Do we know? Is he still at the football club? Who knows?
He should be back soon, apparently. But that's actually an interesting point, because that was the thing I found interesting about the United game. It was like, you looked at the squad and you're like, this is brilliant. Look at that bench. I've heard of all those players on the bench. It's a strong squad. But actually, Spurs still had probably their 3 best centre-backs out. Definitely their 2 best, and Dragicin. And their 2 centre-forwards out, Solanke and Richarlison. And in an ordinary season, if you were playing United and you didn't have your 3 centre-backs and your 2 centre-forwards, you'd be like, this is a disaster. We've got to play United. We haven't got... It looked great.
Think back to a certain team in North London when they had 45 minutes without, Gabriel. And Saliba. It was an absolute head loss. The season had to end. So, imagine doing it for 3 months.
They've had 3 players now, Arsenal. Havertz, Saka and Jesus that are out. I know Martinelli as well. And it's the biggest crisis they've ever had.
Stop the season. Stop the count. We'll start the count because things hopefully are looking up for us. Brennan Johnson, Odebert, they also return. I'm really looking forward to seeing Wilson Odebert because I think we've only seen about a game and a tiny little cameo. And he looked like the type of winger that would actually get me off my seat. Like he actually wants the ball. He's quite direct. He wants to do stuff. And that was like a signing that really went under the radar. So hopefully that is like a brand new signing for us.
I was really impressed. 87 minutes he come on and he showed a lot of potential on there. Like you said, someone that's going to get the ball, drive at players, create chances. It was a really good cameo, actually. Yeah,
it was. And defensively, Ben Davies has been getting a lot of praise, and rightly so, because he is Mr. Reliable. I do feel like maybe he probably shouldn't still be at the club at this point, but the fact that he still is there and he still does a job after such a long time of being there, I mean, you have to just take your hat off to him because he's so versatile. He will always fill in wherever he's needed as well. And I just think that he's been great, and obviously coming in again next to someone like a Gray and kind of coaching him through games, and now Danso as well, who's also looked, pretty good since coming in. He's looked quite comfortable. You have to give the credit to Ben Davies for being that senior player that actually does step up to the plate.
In terms of Kevin Danso coming into the team, the biggest compliment you can give him is look like he's been there for years. He's come in, he looks assured. He's done a recovery tackle yesterday on Højlund, who's not slow, by the way, which was fantastic on Sunday, it doesn't look like a new signing, and he looks like he's a leader. But yeah, look, Ben Davies, cult hero comes to mind for me. There's legends of football clubs, then there's cult heroes, someone that goes unnoticed to a certain degree, and whenever he's in, he never lets you down. Even when he's not playing particularly well, he's giving 100% for the team. But I think since we've had the injuries and he's come in as one of the senior players and a leader, I think he's been really, really good.
Yeah, I echo that. He looks like a Postecoglou player, and I think that's really important. I don't want to dig out Dragic because the poor bloke's got a terrible knee injury, but I haven't been that impressed with him when he's playing on the halfway line. You know, he looks better when he's backs to the wall and he's kind of defending his penalty box, whereas Danso already looks like he can do that job of kind of carrying the ball out of defence, playing out with his feet and kind of playing on the high line. So that's really to his credit. And I think, obviously, all Spurs fans want to see Romero and Van de Ven back in the team. I think particularly Van de Ven, but in the meantime, I think Danso looks like he's going to be able to do a real job there. And I think Davis is underrated as a centre-back.
Well, I mean,
good on the ball.
Look at our defence at the weekend. Porro, Danso, Davies and Spence.
Yeah.
You've then got Spence could go to his right position on right back. Van de Ven, Romero and Udogie could come in.
Which I would like to see.
Exactly. You've then got Draggers in as well on the back burner, ready to come in as well. I think you get all our players back fit. You've got two defences there that that would get into a lot of teams. So you just need them back fit, and you need the medical staff to do their thing.
Well, we need them to stop going into that medical room, honestly, because it's been busy.